Hello, my name is Loïc Julien and I lead the Db2 development on OpenShift. I'm going to review today how you can benefit from an elevated value proposition thanks to Db2 on OpenShift. Db2 on OpenShift is offered in the IBM Cloud Pak for Data platform. We'll review this today with a demo. In the OpenShift catalog, this is what I'm looking at right now. This is what we're looking at on the screen and on the Red Hat Marketplace. With Db2 on OpenShift, you get an elevated value proposition as we're actively working on transforming the Db2 infrastructure to provide a cloud-native experience. And cloud-native is derived from a cloud-based approach where infrastructure is provided as code, allowing to automate everything and providing significant benefit. A new horizontal stack for Db2 where more services are offered horizontally, a managed and resilient Db2 built for all different types of failures, and fully automated administration tasks. With all this, with consistent tooling, predictability, and faster deployment time. What we are looking at right now is the OpenShift Container Platform. It is one of the places where we deliver Db2 on OpenShift. The OpenShift Container Platform has a built-in catalog where all different types of new services are being offered, Db2 being one of them, and Db2 being a market leader in providing a cloud-native experience to our customers. Let me expose this. This tile represents the Db2 operator in the OpenShift catalog. The Db2 operator is a new way to install Db2. A new way to install Db2 that allows for a consistent experience, predictability on how Db2 is installed, and a faster Db2 installation time. You can see here the level of capabilities that are being provided with the Db2 operator, and that will give a sense of the roadmap and the feature that we're working on to improve the Db2 operator. The Db2 operator is written in Go. It's a new operator that we delivered at the end of 2020 and offers many benefits from a packaging standpoint in how we package Db2, from a deployment standpoint on how we deploy Db2, and from a management standpoint, how we keep Db2 up and running in the long run. For completeness, Red Hat has provided a 5-phase maturity model for all the operators that are available on the Red Hat platform. Db2 is currently between phase 2 and phase 3, from basic install to seamless upgrade to full management. That's where Db2 currently falls. You'll still have all the capabilities that you're used to with Db2 and how you interact with Db2 and how you back up and restore Db2, but we will be able to handle with the Db2 operator seamless upgrades so that the upgrade is provided with infrastructure as code, fully automated by the Db2 operator as well as by the Db2 container. The way to install it is you click on the install button here, and as you do that, it will ask you for the place where you want to install the Db2 operator. As you know, OpenShift has a set of projects. You will install the Db2 operator in one of those projects. This project will provide some logical boundaries for your application. So I can select my own project. I can decide if I want to automatically install the operator or if I want to review the operator installation. If I select an approval strategy that's automatic, if a new version of the Db2 operator comes available online in the catalog, my operator will be automatically upgraded directly on the OpenShift platform. So for instance, back in December of last year, we released the first version of the operator. We're now at version 102, and without having to upgrade the operator, my operator has been consistently upgraded from one version to another. The operator provides 3 APIs, and I'll review them as we look at the benefit that are coming with our operator. I'm going to install it live. So what happened here when I installed the Db2 operator is within seconds, you can see here some activity going on in this project where the operator is being brought down from the OpenShift, from the registry where the operator is hosted. And you can see that within seconds, the operator is up and running, within seconds. Now, the operator allows me to manage DB2 as a service. In order to do this, 3 API are currently provided by the operator. You can click on it and have some information about each of those API. The first one is DB2 cluster. That API allows me to deploy DB2. That's how I can see my current DB2 deployment. I can bring new DB2 deployment as a service, and I can delete existing DB2 deployments. Then I have a DB2U HADR API. That API allows me to set up an HADR configuration between two DB2. And the final API is for the version of DB2 that we offered prior to our operator through a technology called Helm, still native to Kubernetes and OpenShift. We've departed from Helm to allow more infrastructure as code and automation support with an operator, and to align ourselves with the OpenShift strategy around operators. We provided also a lot of information on the DB2 operator, DB2 itself, when installed with its operator, the type of resources required, and links to our knowledge center. We have a lot of information about the DB2 and the DB2 operator, how to install it online with the IBM operator catalog, or in an air-gap environment with or without the Bastion. So a lot of information here on the page that we distribute with the IBM DB2 operator, storage we support, the links to the IBM Knowledge Center, and so on. So as we said, the DB2 operator comes with 3 API. One to manage DB2, its deployment, its lifecycle, how to create and delete a DB2 service. One to manage an HADR topology where 2 DB2 deployments have been deployed on OpenShift and you want to connect them together with HADR. And the ability to migrate previous deployment prior to a DB2 operator into a DB2 operator environment. In order to deploy with the DB2 operator, I can create a new DB2U cluster, a custom resource, which will then trigger the DB2U cluster API, and this is how we interact with the DB2 operator. The interaction happens through an API called a custom resource definition. In this case here, the DB2U cluster API is the one that tells the DB2 operator how to deploy DB2. We provided a sample on how to do this, so that if you bring the creation window, the creation form to deploy new DB2 as a service, you can look at a sample that we wrote, which is, as you can see here, 24 lines of code. So in the sequence form, this is the definition that you need to deploy DB2 on OpenShift using the operator. So pretty streamlined, very straightforward. You can provide it a new name and pretty much deploy it like this. So that experience, within one click and 24 lines of code, allows us to deploy DB2. Now, if you deploy DB2, you can delete DB2 deployment. So here I have one going. Let me delete one that I deployed earlier. And now we can see the power of DB2 offered as a service on OpenShift or in Cloud Pak for data, where it really provides me with an as a service experience where I can start deploying and removing DB2s as I need, as I want to serve my DevOps team, as I want to prototype new projects. With the DB2 operator, deployment will take about 2 to 3 minutes. So I'm going to let it run for a few minutes and talk about Cloud Pak for data, which is another platform where we deliver the DB2 operator on OpenShift. Cloud Pak for data, as you know, provide the foundation for implementing the AI ladder, where you can collect the data with DB2 on the platform. Once the data has been collected with DB2, you can organize it, shape it, clean it, and then you can analyze it with AI Mole. Once the data has been analyzed, then you can really infuse your processes throughout the entire organization. So Cloud Pak for data allows to deploy DB2 as a service the same way as we looked at deploying DB2 with a DB2 operator on OpenShift. Cloud Pak for data, though, has a significant ecosystem around it so that you'll have more integration, more services available to you. The case of Cloud Pak for data, the first thing I will show is user management. one of the things that you do with Cloud Pak for Data is connect Cloud Pak for Data to your directory, maybe external LDAP. You can define new users. If you have an external LDAP out there, then you can connect Cloud Pak for Data to this environment. With Cloud Pak for Data also, you have more than username and password authentication available to you. You can use JWT token or create some API keys. If I wanted to look at API keys and get a new API key for my services, I could generate a new API key. As I do that, then I will be able to connect to Db2 using that API key. Now that I've looked at user management, I move to the database panel in Cloud Pak for Data, where I can create new database, in this case here Db2 as a service. As you can see, I deployed 3. I can deploy as many Db2 as my cluster support, and in order to create a new Db2 service on the platform, I go through the create a database experience. As I do that, it shows me the different type of form factors for Db2. In this case here, I have Db2 Warehouse or Db2. We release Db2 and Db2 Warehouse on the same day. You will find the same version for both, and consistency across those two form factors. Deploying Db2 in Cloud Pak for Data is a 4-step process. Step 1, we've added Db2 into the Cloud Pak for Data catalog. Step 2, we need to prepare the cluster for successful deployment as a service. It means that we need to prepare the ground for how much capacity we will reserve for Db2 in that cluster, and what is the storage solution that we're going to use as we deploy Db2 on Cloud Pak for Data. In the Db2 Knowledge Center and the Db2 operator documentation, we've provided links to our documentation page where we have the storage provider that we support on OpenShift. You will find support for Portworx, support for OpenShift Container Storage, support for IBM Spectrum Scale CSI, and support for traditional storage. Now, the storage provider to be chosen is going to be essential to the success of Db2 as a service on OpenShift and in Cloud Pak for Data. This is one of the most critical, the most essential decision to make as you deploy Db2 and the overall platform on OpenShift. Since Db2 needs that storage layer to be consistent, to be stable, we've created a certification program to really narrow down the software-defined storage provider that we felt that Db2 will perform with and we would support. So now that we have some capacity allocated into the cluster, as you can see here from this panel, the allocation of that capacity is really done in a way that's cloud native, as I would on a cloud-based service, where I can decide how much capacity I want to assign to my deployment in terms of CPU, memory. And then I have multiple panels for advanced configuration. For example, here, do I want an Oracle compatibility? And storage, the type of storage classes, which is a storage profile definition, I want to associate to my deployment. The size of that profile that will get created on demand. We call that dynamic provisioning, so that as I deploy Db2, I'm able to allocate a slice of storage in the storage pool to Db2, and I can decide from the beginning how big that slice should be. Some of those storage providers, most of the storage providers will support storage expansion, so that if you look at Portworx, if you look at OpenShift Container Storage or IBM Spectrum Scale CSI, you will have utilities provided with those two storage vendors to help expand storage post-deployment. We support 3 different zones. We create 3 different zones for Db2 storage. System storage, which is small in nature for low IOPS with low IOPS requirement. It's for some of the metadata, the system home directory, some of the log files. Then we have a user storage location, which is the Db2 database, the place where we will store the data for Db2. And then finally, a backup area if you want to mount an archive that you'd like to restore into Db2 as a service, or if you want to backup DB2 and have a location for those backup images to reside. This is also a place where you can load additional data if you wanted to mount the backup storage location as an NFS mount. And once you've done that, you're pretty much done. You have configured what you need to deploy DB to the service. So we saw here the experience is very streamlined. With a set of few panels, we're able to configure the DB2 deployment that's desired. And as I deploy it, I can deploy as many as I want. And they will show up within minutes in my database panel as available database. Once a database has been deployed, you have multiple options available to you. First one is if you can look at the details for that deployment. It will bring back the same summary as you had when you were deploying the database from the beginning. So the size of the storage location that you've reserved and you have dedicated to your DB2 deployment, the version that you deployed, when it was deployed, the ID for that deployment, so that if you want to go in command line and look up for that deployment, you can look it up by ID. How much capacity did you use for DB2 during the deployment? And then how the URL for JDBC access to DB2. If you want to do a connection with TLS, we also allow you to download straight here the TLS certificate. Now, for more in-depth analysis of the DB2 deployment, we have an integration with the Data Management Console, which is a separate service in Cloud Pak for data. Data Management Console allows us to bring monitoring views on top of DB2 so that you can start looking at more data points as an administrator for the DB2 that you've deployed on the platform. There is also a built-in SQL editor, so you can run queries. There is the ability to load data, create reports, explore your schema, create tables. So a very rich set of functionality are being developed by and offered with the data management service that's available in Cloud Pak for data. In this case here, I can look at some of my tables and create new tables, or some of my schemas and create new tables if I want to. So very rich interface offered with the Data Management Console. DB2 on OpenShift, in Cloud Pak for data and on OpenShift, is offered as a set of microservices with orchestration and containerization. And the benefit that we talked about earlier is a new horizontal stack, managed and resilient DB2, and a fully automated DB2. This is here an example of this new horizontal stack with microservices that we offer with DB2 on Cloud Pak for data and on OpenShift. What we're looking at here is the ability to bring with the DB2 ecosystem, the DB2 deployment, a new REST capability that is fully configured to work with DB2 and is an optional add-on to your DB2 deployment. So with the DB2 cluster API that we looked at earlier, you can bring additional add-ons such as a REST server. And when you do this, you will have a full and functional REST API to DB2. In this case here, I can authenticate it with a JDB2 token. We've talked about earlier in this presentation about user management and how not only in Cloud Pak for data do we support username and password type credential, but also API key and JDB2 token. This is here an example where you're able to get a token from the platform. You're able to have the REST endpoint of the DB2 REST server talk to DB2 through that token, getting authenticated through the token. Once authentication has happened, what I can do is start running the DB2 service, and as I talk to DB2, I'm able to run a REST endpoint. Like in this case here, I do a REST endpoint against the service to find out all my claim by months, and here we go. Through the REST API offered by DB2 within the DB2 ecosystem. So it's once DB2 has been deployed, as a developer, I have also a rich set of functionality that are available to me to help me develop against DB2. Let's come back to Db2 on OpenShift and look at the deployment that we started earlier. Deployment should be complete by now. And then as we can see through the Db2 cluster panel here, the deployment we started is ready. I can click on it. I can look at how much resources are being consumed by that deployment. So for instance, I can look at the monitoring console that is provided built-in with OpenShift. In this case here, I can start looking at the composition of that service. I have one pod in it. The pod is using minimal amount of CPU usage. The memory that was allocated by Db2 from the beginning is being managed by Db2. And I can open a terminal window to Db2 so I can start connecting to Db2. I can make myself an instance owner and validate that I can successfully connect to Db2. The database name and the base configuration may have been defaulted. With the Db2 cluster API, I can provide my own defaults, my own configuration for initialization of Db2, and those API have been exposed in our Db2 Knowledge Center. So in summary, with Db2 on OpenShift, we elevate the Db2 value proposition by providing a cloud-native experience to Db2. Value is provided throughout the stack, from Db2 to the Db2 container, lightweight, portable, to the Db2 operator, which automate application delivery and day-to tasks, and OpenShift, which offers a world-class and secure environment for your new workloads. The Db2 cloud-native experience supports new vendors, such as OpenShift Container Storage, IBM Spectrum Scale CSI, or Portworx, and allows to deploy Db2 within minutes with an as-a-service experience and helps consolidate infrastructure and assets. Db2 on OpenShift also comes with a complete ecosystem from the data management console to the new REST or graph service. And this modern and transformative experience is offered in the IBM Cloud Pak for Data platform, the OpenShift catalog, and on the Red Hat marketplace. Our cloud-native strategy for Db2 is provided significant benefit and help elevate the Db2 value proposition. Thank you for attending this talk today.